All right, family, today we are going to talk about the Fed. That's right, man. The Fed just cut rates, y'all. So the Fed just cut rates and we got to talk about it, right? We want to really dig deep into this so we can truly understand this, right? So we know the Fed just cut rates by 0.25% or 0.25%. On the surface, that sounds like a win. Cheaper money, stocks go to the moon, all right? But here's the part that nobody's really telling you. And this is the thing that I be wanting us to understand. The Fed's own predictions show that there's warning signs. That's right. GDP is slowing. We're going to talk about that. Inflation is really getting really sticky. We're going to talk about that. But unemployment is creeping up, especially for Blacks and college students. And if you're not paying attention, this rate cut could really hurt you more than it can help you. So what we're going to do today in this video is we're going to break it down. And at the end of the video, I'm going to share with you why 2 more rate cuts, which they have on the list, that's coming this year, could actually be good news for Wall Street, but bad news for us. Now, look, man, it's your boy, the Wall Street Trap. But before we get into this video, man, I'm going to need you all to like. I'm going to need you all to subscribe. I'm going to need you all to share this with somebody because y'all know one thing, your boy going to get busy. You hear me? And, man, look, I'm going to be real with y'all. I got my notes because I had to go back and really look at the whole meeting again and say, all right, bro, like, let me break this down for my people, man, so we can really understand, like, what the hell is going on. Because I don't like when we get short-sighted. Don't blindfold us, family. Put us in the mix. So let's get to it, y'all. Get your pen, get your pad. We gonna tap in. So the first thing on the list right here is what's called the SEP. That's right, the SEP. And what that is it is the summary of economic projections. Now, what this does is it explains to us, right, in plain language, the Fed's forecast and cheat sheet about GDP, jobs, inflation, interest rates, right? So here's the screenshot of it so you can see it. I be wanting y'all to see real facts, right? This is where the Fed literally shows us what they expect will happen in the economy. Now, they not magicians. They're truly trying to steer and navigate a $27 trillion economy with forecasts, kind of like what we do with the market. But the difference in that is they get paid to do that. And they get paid a lot of money to do that. Now, the Fed does have what's called a dual mandate. And with that dual mandate, they got to do 2 things. First thing is growth with jobs and what's called price stability. Right? And price stability is making sure that we can afford everything. So inside of this plan, you can see what they say, the unemployment rate, inflation for the year 2025 to 2028 and over the long run, right? Each participant's projections were based on information available at the time of the meeting, together hit with her or his assessment of appropriate monetary policy, including a path for a federal funds rate. Now, they're talking about all the Fed all across the globe in America. They're talking about that, you know what I'm saying? So that's what all these people come together and they make a vote on what's going to happen with the economy. Are they going to cut rates? Are they going to increase rates? Are they going to do quantitative easing, which is put some more money in the market, right? And you already know the Fed is an independent entity, so it's not a part of the government. I suggest that everybody go read this book called The Creature from Jekyll Island. I put people on this book like 3 years ago, and now I see it, maybe like 4 years ago, and now I see so many people on it. I'm not saying I'm the first person to read the book at all. The book is old, but when I read it, it really blew my mind. So you definitely need to check that out if you really want to take the time to understand like what the Fed got going on. But let's get into it, y'all. So the first thing we do, if we're looking at the screen, right, what you see is I have something marked out. And what I have marked out is what the Fed said was GDP. We're going to just break this down piece by piece. Now, what we see is we see growth, right? But it's slow growth. It's real slow growth, right? 1.6% versus the 1.4% in June, right? That was the projection. So slow growth means it's like an engine running out of gas. And what the Fed is trying to do now is give the economy a boost. But notice how low the bar is. 1.6% growth is really nothing to celebrate. Nothing at all. You know what I mean? It's not growing at all. Now think about this. If GDP slows, then that hits corporate earnings, which then hits our portfolio. But if growth slows, then what about jobs? And that's something we always got to think about. So remember, America is 100% based on consumerism. And so we got to think about it. Because America is based on consumerism, the thing that it needs the most is it needs for us to do what? Consume, which means we got to buy, right? But here's the thing. If growth is slowing, jobs are slowing, people can't do what? Consume. Think about it. During the pandemic, why do you think they put the money back into the economy? Why do you think they printed them trillions of dollars in the economy? So we can do what? Spend money, right? They need us to spend money. Now, once we see that GDP is slowing, the next thing we're looking at is unemployment. The unemployment rate is 4.2%. Now, they're thinking that for the long run, but right now it's at 4.5%. Now, the Fed is basically admitting that jobs are being lost, and the job losses will be coming before they can stabilize things in the economy. So more cuts might be needed if hiring keeps on slowing down. Now look at this, what it says. If you look on this tab, what it says, in the long run, 4.2, meaning they got to get it down to that. You feel me? So another thing you need to understand is this. If you're a worker, that's your paycheck at risk. If you're an investor, that's the consumer spending slowing down, which then gonna do what? Hit corporate earnings. I need you to understand how this working. Now, when I go into my notes, the question was, this rate cut is coming at a time where the stock market is at an all-time high, markets are high. Could that create a bubble? And the Fed said, our goal is maximum employment and price stability, which is the dual mandate, right? And said, watch this. Households are in good shape. Banks are in good shape. But we are aware that people of the lower income spectrum are under pressure. Now, if you don't believe this, you can go look at the video I posted yesterday when I was live. And I was live during the whole thing. And I just want you to understand that. So if people at the lower spectrum are feeling the pressure, what do you think happening here, bro? And this is what things get really, really, really tricky at, right? Because we see that GDP is slowing down. We see that unemployment is doing what? Creeping. We wrote this down right here. Watch this. I wrote this down. So labor, watch this. So labor will be weak for the rest of the year. They expected it at 4.5. Again, it came out at 4.5 in June, came back right now, October. They got two more meetings, one in October, got another in December. We're looking at weak unemployment, and it's going to get weaker, y'all. So the Fed loves to look at PCE more than they like PPI and CPI. This is inflation. This is the Fed's. This is the one that's going to move the market every time. PCE, and then I want you to look at core inflation right underneath it. PCE and core inflation is the thing that's really going to move the market. It's the really thing that really, really, really gets the Fed up and going and letting them know what's going on and where everything going at. Now watch this. PCE is at 3%. Core PCE, which is at 3.1%. But the Fed's goal is 2%. We're still way above it. That means inflation isn't beating, and cutting rates too much could let inflation flare back up. Remember, groceries, rent, gas. If it feels like life is still expensive, you're not crazy. It really is. And the Fed is telling us that it is. So why cut if inflation isn't going down? It comes down to the dual mandate. Now, I want you to listen to this. When asked if a 0.25% rate will change anything, Powell said, this is about the process. This is just the beginning, which means, and he's saying to us, we're going to have to cut rates some more. But we now understand that Black unemployment and college students are out of jobs. He said the goal is 2%. And so another person in the audience asked him this. Since 2015, the SEP, which is what we talked about, who published this report, says that the Fed will get to 2% in 2 years. So since 2015, Every year since 2015, they've been saying we're going to get to 2% in 2 years. We're going to get to 2% in 2 years. We're going to get to 2% in 2 years. We're going to get to 2% in 2 years. But here's the thing. The 2 years has kept coming by and they ain't got to it yet. And so the man asked him, doesn't that mess with your credibility? And the Fed said, I understand that it does mess with our credibility, but we're putting forecasts together to try to get to 2%. Nobody knows what the world is going to look like in 3 years. Now, I'm not here saying that Jerome Powell is wrong. I'm just saying, because I'm in the stock market, I understand that stocks going to do their thing, which stocks didn't really soar after that. But I also understand this. I'm also a people person, and I know I got a lot of people that I got to help out with getting money in this market. They got to try to survive. So what I do understand and I do want to take into account is the fact that, if you're going to get that by 2028, what about 2020, the rest of 2025 and 2026 and 2027? You've already said Black and brown people in America are getting hit the hardest. Low income people are getting hit the hardest. Well, my God, who is it for? So at some point, they got to let us know who's it for. Now, let me just take a minute right here and tell y'all something, man. Before we get any further, let me just share this screen right quick with y'all right quick. Shout out to one of my people in the Patreon, man. If you want to come join us, we print money over there, man. One of my people sent this to me, said, hey, Trap, man, my biggest win to date from being on the Patreon is $2,000 on the Google Play, man. We had a Google Play in January 16, 2010 call. My guy is up $2,000. Total return 183%. Let's go. So, man, if you would like to come join the Patreon, the link is below. Just totally understand. There's 3 tiers on the Patreon. There's the lottery pick tier. Well, the lottery pick tier, I put in 2 stocks a week that are not name brand stocks, undervalued stocks. I give you 3 price points to look at. If you're in the next tier, which is the triple beam team, then you get the lottery pick, plus you get access to any option plays that we do. You also get access to the live screen shares that we do early in the morning when we screen share. And we write out on the charts what we see the S&P doing, what we see the NASDAQ doing, and also what do we do one more stock on the screen. And if you're in the master of the triple beam, you get all of that, plus you get a call once a month as a group. We stay on a call for like 3 hours, and any questions you need, we answer those. We are getting to the bag, and we have taken losses before, so nothing is just, we're not gonna act like we haven't taking no losses. But if you want to come join a dope community to help you buy you back your time, get to your freedom, come join the Patreon. Let's go, y'all. Link is below. All right, man, listen, today, the Fed had the rate cut yesterday. We talking about it in this video, what's happening, what's going on, but just look at how the market is responding. Today, we cashed out 100K. Not only that, we up 300K, my biggest day this year, y'all. And it's about being in position when the market does what it does. It's about us understanding what's the games being played and how do we use the tools so that we could benefit from it. Look at, man, we got the Patreon members going crazy. I'm going crazy today, and I want you to go crazy today. So listen, man, when you get back into this episode, just remember, it's your time to go crazy. Once the Fed cut rates, we know the market is in love. I get back to the video, man. Salute. But lastly, I got to get to this right here. This is what's called the Fed's fund rate. Now, in June, it was projected to be at 3.9. It came in at 3.6. Now, this is the one that's really going to take a lot of people off guard because you really don't probably know what this is. And it's important that you understand what this is because the Fed's funds rate is banks loan money to each other. But before we go there, let me dig into this right quick. And I think this is important. The Fed's job is to keep prices stable and to keep unemployment low. It's a balancing act that they got to do. Too much cutting could, put us back in inflation. That can be everything. Too little cutting could mean recession risk at all-time high. So they're threading a thin needle in real time. And the thing about that is, while Jerome Powell may sound real careful, he knows one wrong move can really break the system. On top of that, you got a president that's doing these tariffs and people are really going to feel that. And the president keeps saying that we're bringing in a lot of money in America. But we need to know, Donald Trump, is that money truly paying down the debt? Because that's another thing that's really going to help us. So we need to see if that's paying down the debt. I'm not for it or against it. I'm just saying we need to know that that money is paying down the debt because if not, the American consumer is eating that. On another note, you got to ask yourself this question. These companies that's paying these tariffs, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to eat those prices. So while I am a fan of the stock market, I also understand that people got to live and people got to, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got to really get our bread out here. And because we got to get our bread out here, because we got to eat, we got to pay rent, we got to do all these things. Like, we not the ones borrowing the money at a low rate when you do a rate cut. We not the ones that's borrowing money, that kind of money that's going to do that. And you already said that a 0.25% rate cut is not going to move the needle, but two more rate cuts this year going to give us a 0.75%. That's gonna move the needle, probably get us at 225 by the end of the year. I mean, somewhere around that. We still gotta get it. So we gotta see what it's gonna do to us, y'all. Like, and I just want us to know that. I want us to understand that, right? It's not something that happens all at one time, but we do understand that it does happen. Now, let me get into this, right? 2 more rate cuts to come. We got another one in October. We got another one in December. And as of right now, I wrote this down. Before the Fed meeting, there was a 62% chance of 2 more cuts. After this meeting yesterday, there's an 82% chance that we will get 2 more cuts by the end of the year, y'all. So that means money is definitely going to get cheaper for the big dogs. That definitely means that we could truly see the market running, but people can really be feeling the pain and the pressure behind that. And I just want you to understand that. If the Fed funds rate, and we saw that is projected at 3.6, and you see at the end it's at 3.1 by 2028, then what that's really saying is the Fed is signaling. The Fed is signaling more cuts. But here's the catch. They don't cut because things are great. They cut because the economy is weaker. And they want you to believe that things are all right. If we need 2 more cuts, that's not a party. That's really a warning, y'all. So do what you won't do. You can use this as a time to get into the market and truly let the market take you where you got to go, because the market is truly going to buy back your time. Or you can sit around and cry, well, it was me, but I promise you, nobody ain't coming to save you. The rate cut then is a double-edged sword. The mental shift is this. Don't just cheer every time you get a cut like it's good news. You got to ask yourself, why are they cutting? If it's to prop up weak growth, you need to protect yourself. So my question to you is, do you think the Fed's going to cut again this year? Tell me in the chat below, right? And if you want me to break down what stocks are going to thrive in a rate cut environment, let me know that too, because that may be the next video we got on the list. It's your boy, the Wall Street Trapper, man. I hope this video really helped y'all so we can break down what's going on in our economy. Do me a favor, man. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and make sure you share this video with somebody who you know needs to understand this, man. I'm going to see y'all in the trap, man. Salute.